Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Aisha, moderator for this conference. Welcome to the Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call of Tribhuvan Das Unity Zaveri Limited, organized by Dickinson World IR. At this moment, all participants are in listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question and answer session. At that time, if you have a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad. Please note, this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the floor to Ms. Poonam Avlani. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aisha. Good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you to the earnings call of Tribhuvan Das Unity Zaveri Limited for the fourth quarter and 12 months of FY21. Today, we have with us the management represented by Ms. Vidisha Zaveri, the whole-time director, and Mr. Saurabh Banerjee, Chief Financial Officer. Before we get started, I would like to remind you that our remarks today might include forward-looking statements and actual results may differ materially from those contemplated by forward-looking statements. Every statement we make on this call today are based on an assumption as on a date, and we undertake no obligation to update this statement as a result of new information or future events. I would now invite Ms. Vidisha Zaveri to make her opening remarks. Thank you. Over to you, madam.
Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to the earnings call of Tribhuvan Das Unity Zaveri Limited for the fourth quarter and full year results of 2021. Thank you for sparing your valuable time in joining us here today. Hope you and your family are safe and in good health during these tough times. As we reflect back on FY21 and the many unprecedented challenges that have to be overcome, we realize that at TVZ, we could find a way to navigate through the upheaval caused by COVID-19 pandemic. We focused on creating a strong springboard for our long-term strategic priorities. Although the effect of the pandemic has been material, we have adapted and embraced the learnings to remain well-positioned to support our employees, customers, and the communities that we serve. The company has taken various steps to mitigate the financial impacts of COVID-19. Substantial reduction of operating costs has enabled it to gain positive operating leverage, leading to higher EBITDA and net profit margins. Further, it focused on improving the balance sheet resilience by effectively rationalizing inventory levels, improving cash flows, and reducing borrowings and debt costs substantially. With a very dynamic retail sales strategy and tactical marketing initiatives in place, the company has been able to revive customer interest and generate steadily increasing footfalls across all our stores within a short span of time. While the COVID situation is still highly uncertain and challenging, the agility and efficiency that we have now hardwired into the company shall continue to help us strive towards ensuring that our margins improve further and the balance sheet remains strong to be able to take quick advantage of the growth opportunities in the medium to long-term future. With this, I would now like to hand over the call to our CFO, Mr. Saurabh Banerjee, for a quick overview of the financial performance during the quarter and the year. Thank you.
Good evening. Let me welcome all of you to this earnings call for TVZ for the fourth quarter and year ended 2021. I'll just read out the key highlights for this quarter, Q4, and also for the full year. I shall begin with the Q4 numbers. Total income from operations 366.08 crores vis-a-vis last year's quarter 342.52, a YOY increase of about 7%. Gross profit for this quarter 47.19 crores vis-a-vis 54.83 for the last quarter, a drop of around 14%. Gross margin 12.89% vis-a-vis last year's quarter 16.01. EBITDA 20.40 for this quarter vis-a-vis 23.78 for the last year, drop of 14%. EBITDA margins 5.57% vis-a-vis 6.94%. PBT 10.78 vis-a-vis 2.46, an improvement of over 300%. PBT margins at 2.94 for this quarter vis-a-vis 0.72 for the last year quarter. PAT 8.60 crores vis-a-vis 3.96 crores, an improvement of more than 100%. PAT margin 2.35% vis-a-vis 1.16. Coming to the full year number, the total income from operations 1342 crores vis-a-vis 1810 crores, a drop of about 26%. Gross profit at 213.72 crores vis-a-vis 253.53, a drop of around 16%. Gross margin at about 16% vis-a-vis last year's 14%. EBITDA at 121 crores vis-a-vis 111 crores, an improvement of more than 8%. EBITDA margins at 9.01% vis-a-vis 6.16 for the last year. PBT at 59.69 crores vis-a-vis 28.87 crores, a more than 100% jump. PBT margins 4.45% vis-a-vis 1.59. PAT 43.09 crores vis-a-vis 21.94, a 96% improvement. PAT margins 3.21% vis-a-vis 1.21%. This was a summary of the numbers, the key highlights. We can now move on to the question and answer session.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Harish Shah from Harish Shah Investments. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity. I have two questions.
Hello. Sorry, can I request you? There is some background sound. There is some background sound. I can't hear you clearly. Can you kindly please repeat your question, please?
Yeah. We have seen significant reduction in the inventory. Can we elaborate how we have reduced so much of inventory? And can you please share what are the measures taken by the management? That is my first question. The second question is, what is the roadmap for the future? As we have, seen some stores closing down last year. So how do we plan to bring growth in the coming years? That's two questions from my side.
Thank you. I'll answer the inventory question first. The reduction of inventory actually has started happening quite some time back. It is not that the entire inventory has got reduced only in this year, although we shall be talking more about this year. But the strategy and planning for reduction of inventory, and this we have talked about in earlier years, earlier quarters as well, has begun quite some time back, where we were focusing on the diamond inventory particularly. The reduction in the diamond inventory started some time back, as I said. The reason and the manner in which we have gone through is to get deep dive into each and every component of the inventory, look at each and every product, each and every unit, every SKU, and the entire composition of the inventory that was being carried by the company. And we have been able to figure out, or we have been able to pinpoint, that there are certain inventories which were probably, getting wasted away, slow-moving inventory, which needed to be shuffled, needed to be probably offered to the customers with a different kind of an offer, an attractive offer, and also to, sort of bring back those inventories, to modify them suitably and create new designs and new collections from them. Secondly, what we have done is that we have looked at each and every store's levels of inventory that we were carrying, and we have been able to find the right sizing of the inventory, the right level of inventory that each and every store should be carrying in the current scenario. That is how what we have done is that the inventory that has been sold off has not been replaced as it was being done earlier. So when the revenues are being generated through a process of sale of inventory, And if we are not replenishing the entire levels of inventory as we used to do earlier, then naturally, gradually, there will be a reduction in the inventory. Thirdly, to ensure that this sale or the revenue generation happens, we have taken the help of strategies made by the advertising and marketing team, the merchandising team, which looks at inventory very closely, and they have been able to point out that there are inventories which probably are slow moving, which probably at one point of time it was thought that the customers will like and buy. Those are no longer the favorites of the customer. So the customer mindset has been read. The customers, the preference of the customers, the changes in their approach, designs that are nowadays preferred by them, and also looking at the new customers who have become TVZ customers recently. So there's a legacy customer and there's a new customer. Based on the trends set by them and based on the customer details that we have incorporated, we have been able to dovetail and find out what exactly sells and how fast we can rotate it. The other thing is that we have worked on the turnaround time. The turnaround time, which used to take earlier for an inventory piece to reach a particular store or location. We have worked on that and we have ensured that the turnaround time has improved. Thereby, we need not carry all the inventory as we used to do earlier. So it's not necessary that the store carries all the inventory at one point of time. It can quickly ask for the inventory and resource it quickly enough and then display it to the customers and ensure that it's sold off. We have also used techniques like, we have the reference book or the digital media that we have had, in which we have designed the online stores. So one does not need to visit a store. You can book your collections online and they shall be delivered to the residence of the customers. Thereby, again, it's not necessary for the inventory to be carried. So in other words, by using all these combinations of strategies and the decisions that we have been able to take on these fronts, we have been able to reduce the inventory quite drastically. That is one thing. Secondly, we have looked at the stores, how the stores are performing, which stores are not perhaps performing as per our expectation. And also we have looked at the environment, as you know, because of COVID and because of pandemic. The stores that were located in the malls or in smaller towns were not receiving the kind of footfalls that we would have liked. So those are the stores that we have closed down. We have taken a conscious call that we shall close down those kind of stores. And from there also the inventory has been freed up to a certain extent. So I think, these are the measures that has been taken to ensure that the inventory carrying is reduced, the burden on the balance sheet is reduced to a great extent without, I would say, adversely impacting the revenue or the customer aspirations in terms of display of various kinds of designs. Hello.
That was helpful.
And what was your other question?
So other question was, you have closed down certain stores.
Yes.
So how do you see the growth in coming years?
Okay. So yes, as I just now said, that we have looked at the store profitability and the contribution that they make to the overall business of the company. And wherever we have found that the stores are, perhaps performing below the mark for various reasons, it need not be always because of business reasons, but as you see that the environmental reasons are also there and one needs to take cognizance of that. So the company believes in being more and more dynamic. For example, the stores that have been closed, can they be opened in the future? The answer is yes, most certainly. When the situation improves, there is normalcy all around us, like we used to have in the past, then we shall relook at the need or the opportunity to open these stores, reopen these stores back in the malls or in the shopping areas or in some of the towns or locations where we used to have them earlier. So these decisions are being taken by the company based on the current environment, and we have been able to demonstrate that we have been able to take these decisions quickly, implement them, get the result out of it. And if required, we can go back and, again set up those stores or open new stores at a reasonably short notice of time.
Oh, thank you so much for the detailed answer. Wish you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Ninad Sabnis from Sabnis Financial. Please go ahead.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on the result, and hope everybody is safe and healthy at Team TVZ.
Thank
I
you
have
so much.
two questions.
Yeah.
I just have two questions this time. As always, I really appreciate all your insights on the call, and even your investor relations team with Mr. Mehta has been really helpful. He answered some of my queries before the result as well. So just the major question I have is, as one of the largest competitors in the field already declared the results last week. They had mentioned their YOY sales increased on account of higher grammage and more number of buyers, majorly due to gold prices being muted and even reducing over the last quarter in the December to March period. So do we have that bifurcation, or have we benefited in that way?
Yeah. So as you can see, there has been an improvement in the top line even for us in quarter 4. And naturally, since you yourself mentioned that the price advantage, the gold price advantage particularly, was not there in quarter 4 as it was there in the earlier quarters. So it obviously means that there is a higher grammage which has been sold, which has resulted in a YOY improvement. Here I'm not trying to compare with anyone else, the other competitors. Of course, they have made their statements, which are absolutely correct. But without going into some kind of a comparative analysis, the reason being attributed is very clear, that when we are not getting the advantage of gold prices as we have been getting in the last 2, 3, or even probably one full year, if I were to say right from January 2020 to, let's say, January 2021 or December 2020, there has been gold price advantage, which every company has enjoyed to a certain extent, which sort of went away again to a certain extent, maybe not fully, but to a certain extent there was a substantial drop in the prices, which means that the grammage and the caratage, if I talk about gold, then it's grammage, and if we talk about diamonds, then the carat. So both have sold to a certain extent higher, and that's how we have been able to, register growth in the top line.
Yeah, but I actually wanted the actual numbers, if we could get.
Actual numbers, I will not be able to share right now. Actual numbers, sorry, I will not be able to share right now, but maybe offline, if you want to get into a discussion, most welcome. You can, talk to our IR guys.
Any ballpark figure, would the grammage has increased by 5 to 10%, single digit, double digit?
Okay, so I'm giving you a very broad kind of a number. In terms of gold, the grammage would have increased by about close to double digits. In case of diamond, it is sort of flat, not much of an increase, but gold, yes. Because the reason is again very clear, and it is that when the gold prices start dropping, then customer interest is to a certain extent revived even more than what it is in the usual time. And there are a pocket of customers who wait for gold prices to sort of drop or stabilize, and probably it suits their budget, and they come out and buy. So, that's the reason. So it's all linked, and mostly it happens in that manner.
Okay. My second question is also on similar lines. If I could get the breakup of gold versus diamond sales and also volumes, because I couldn't find that data in the presentation actually.
Yeah, sure. So for the quarter, the gold versus diamond ratio is around 81 to 19, or around 80 to 20, I would say. 81, 19, 80, 20, that kind of a ratio for gold and diamond sale for the quarter. And for the year, it is around 78-22 for the year. If I were to, so 78 is gold and 22 is diamond.
Okay.
That's
and
the ratio.
Compared
That's the
to,
product.
say, FY20, gold has gone up or diamond has gone up?
Gold has
See,
gone up. Diamond has been slightly flattish in nature, but gold has gone up.
Okay. So this is both for sales and also in terms of volume, is it? Because as we just mentioned in Q4, we saw higher grammage. So for the full year number, do we have higher grammage in gold and carats and higher carats also for diamond sales also?
Yeah, we do have. I mean, internally we do have, but normally we don't share it in the call. But as I said, you are most welcome, and you can set up a.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I will get. Your investor relations team is always helpful with that.
Sure. You are most welcome with that.
Okay.
But as I said, the percentage of share of products which I have just explained to you.
Yeah, great. And also, I would just like to appreciate the dividend announced as well, and wish you all the luck for coming FY22 and good health as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vaibhav Pacholia from VK Capital. Please go ahead.
I wanted to understand quarter on quarter, what is the reason for the difference in sales and especially margins?
Yes. So should we compare quarter 3 and 4 or should I just...
Quarter 3 and 4.
Okay, fine. So see, in the jewelry industry, if I were to refer to the line, the retail jewelry industry or the retail jewelry space, quarter 3 is I would say the most productive and the best quarter amongst the 4 quarters, which is in any year. So whether it's very exceptional year like this, which we just had, or it's a very normal kind of business year, quarter 3 is always the highest and the finest, the best year, simply because you have a lot of things going in quarter 3. One being, the festivals that are there. Normally the Dussehra period, and then right up to Dhanteras, Diwali, everything usually falls in quarter 3, or there is a big buying that starts in quarter 2, towards the end of quarter 2, and then continues unabated in quarter 3. So that is one of the reasons. The second is that the wedding seasons, generally, they are concentrated more in quarter 3 and quarter 4. So the buying pattern for wedding starts happening accordingly. So when there is a wedding in the family, mostly people buy well in advance, and they have their own budgets and all the kind of wedding planning that they have, and the buying happens well in advance. Sometimes there's last minute buying also. Now in this year, typically what has happened is, as we know, that the quarter 1 was a complete washout because of lockdown. Quarter 2 was some kind of a, just settling down kind of a quarter. Everything was gradually getting reopened and people were finding their feet. So the industry also was just settling down. And hence the pent-up demand for quarter 1 and quarter 2 were realized in quarter 3. Mostly. Little bit, of course, must have happened in quarter 4 also. But so that is why there's a big difference in the top line between quarter 3 and quarter 4. Now,
right. Actually, sir, I think the other companies have shown almost similar, maybe slightly less, and especially over quarter 4 of last year, people have shown 50% growth in sales because last year March was affected a lot.
Yeah, I will explain that also.
Why is that? Like, in fact, we were expecting like maybe 30, 40, 50% jump. Is it because of same store? And so what is the same store sales? We have shut some stores. Is that the reason also?
No, I'll explain. So firstly, if you were, I'm not sure what you were saying when you said that it was almost the same in quarter 3 and quarter 4. Well, that is just impossible. No company, unless they are doing something very different from everyone else, will have the same kind of top line in quarter 3 and quarter 4. If they are doing that, then I will say that their quarter 3 has been extremely poor. So that is my first explanation to you. Number 2 is that if you were to compare quarter 4 and quarter 4 of last year.
Yeah.
Yes. So now again, last year, if you remember, the lockdown actually started in March, sometime in March. It depends on where stores are located, because the lockdown started affecting the stores closures first in Maharashtra and Mumbai. That is where the lockdown started, and then it was, sort of extended to the entire country by the government. But the first lockdown started in Maharashtra and Mumbai simply because the COVID cases were the highest at that time in Mumbai, and of course then in Pune and the other cities in Maharashtra. So the companies which have a greater concentration of stores in Western India or in Maharashtra followed by Gujarat or sort of in this area, and if the stores started getting impacted, then naturally, they have felt the brunt much more than someone else who has a better spread across the country. That is one thing. Now, the other reason is that a company like, I am not sure which company you are referring to, but let's assume that
the listed players, basically people have reported January, February 30% growth, more than that. And then March, of course, is very, very high growth because last year was affected.
Yeah, correct. So that's what
So totally 30, 40, 50% growth people have shown.
Absolutely. You are right. I am not saying no. When you say people, I think it's just one company. So it's
I think the other big company has also declared sales numbers.
I'm not sure. See, I am not sure. They may have declared. I'm not sure. I have seen the one company which you are referring to that. Again, I'm explaining the same thing, that the companies which have been more affected by closures last year will naturally show a huge growth in March, particularly in March this year. January, February, even we have shown growth. And overall in the quarter also we have shown growth. There is a 7% growth. It's not that it is not there at all. But if I say, if you compare with 40-50%, well, I mean, that is a different thing. But if your base number in the last year's quarter 4 has been low for whatever reasons, and I was explaining to you that reason, that if I am widespread in the areas where lockdowns were clamped much more, I would say seriously and strictly compared to other areas, then my numbers would have been very low in the last quarter 4, and naturally they will be quite high in quarter 4 of this year.
Got it. So, sir, is there any impact of same store, stores shutting down? So, what is the same store sales growth? That might help us understand.
Yeah, so same store sales growth will be almost the same as the quarter growth.
Okay.
The same numbers have been reported across the stores, the same comparative numbers. In terms of the stores that we closed, they were smaller stores. Although, yes, I mean, in the larger scheme of things, their contribution would have been relatively lower.
Got it.
The stores, there will be some impact, but the impact will be much lower because they were smaller stores.
Got it. And so one more question on online. Do we see like any percentage of sales can come from online in the future?
Yes, it is already coming. As I said, we have created an online platform or a virtual store where customers can visit by appointment. They can have a look at our jewelry. They can look through the display. They can talk to the sales representative, and their queries and whatever else they want to know. The details will be answered. They can book jewelry, and the jewelry will be delivered to their residence, and the payments can be made online. This is one thing which we have started quite a while back. In fact, 3 quarters back, we started this in the first quarter of the year itself. It's showing good traction and good involvement. Number 2 is that our Kalpabrook scheme, which is the EMI scheme of buying jewelry, that is completely online. Again, for the last 3 quarters, it has been so. And there you can just see at the comfort of your residence, you can do the entire gamut of transactions, right from enrollment to, the documentation, the KYCs, the payments, and also, as I said, the virtual store is there, so you can select the jewelry and it can be delivered to your residence. So this again has found a lot of favor with the customers. And typically, Kalpabrook has contributed, I think, about 12% to our top line. In normal circumstances, it can contribute even more. But this time, it's around 12%, which is also fairly healthy, I would say.
Right, right. And sir, longer term, like once this COVID is over, whatever, 1 year, 2 years, whatever it takes, can we get back to the kind of margins which we had in Q3?
To a certain extent, yes. One has to remember that some of the operating expenses were lesser in the first 2 quarters. But in Q3, the operating expenses were more or less as we used to have. Q4 also, it has been more or less as we used to have earlier. So in that sense, we can look at the similar levels of EBITDA. Quarter 3 EBITDA is very high because there is a gold price favorable impact on Quarter 3 EBITDA, which is not there in Q4. I would say that, a little more than 5.6%. So Q4 EBITDA is 5.6%. I would say 6 to 7% will be, something that can be easily expected on an average from a quarter, from a normal quarter.
Got it. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Monica Arora from SGW Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and congratulations on the good set of numbers. I have 2 questions. Can you explain a little bit more about the Kalpavriksha scheme and how it has fared during these years? Moreover, what is the contribution, if you can elaborate, that how it is panning out like since it was introduced to till now, and what do you see the contribution going forward?
Right. So as I said, let me start with the last couple of questions that you asked. That this year the contribution of KP sales, Kalpavruksha sales to the top line is around, as I said, about 12%, 11-12% odd. The advances that have been generated from the Kalpavruksha is also on the higher side. Approximately around 80-90 crores. Normally we have over 100 crores of advances on an average, I'm saying. So Kalpavruksha scheme, very quickly, let me explain, is a EMI based scheme wherein a customer, saves whatever money he wants to and contributes on a monthly basis on a EMI model. And then after 9 months, he gets to buy a jewelry of his choice. The company contributes 75% of 1 year's EMI to the kitty. And hence, so for example, if you have 10,000 rupees, then in 9 months is 90,000, which comes from the customer. 75% of 10,000, 7,500, and the total is 97,500. So customer is free to purchase a jewelry of his or her choice with this money. But what happens is that normally we see that there is always some kind of upselling. So while technically the amount is 97,500, customer usually ends up buying jewelry worth 1,25,000, 1,30,000, 1,40,000. So we see an upselling of anything between 25 to 40%, which happens. So this is absolutely, in a very, very nutshell, I have tried to explain to you the Kalpavruksha scheme. In terms of contribution, I have already told you how it has been contributing to the top line numbers. But on an average, we get about 15-16% of contribution from Kalpavruksha. This year it has been slightly lower because of, because the customer settlements were very, very low in the beginning of the financial year because of COVID and all that. So it's slightly lower, but it's usually higher than that. And the customer advances from KP also I have just, talked about that. In terms of how it has panned out, I think it has been very well received over the years. We have thousands of customers. I can't give you the exact number right now, but suffice to say that we have a huge, huge customer base who enroll for KP and who take advantage or who take benefit of the offers that are there for them. In fact, so much so that we have introduced various different variants of KP. We have a diamond KP, which is only exclusively for diamond jewelry. If somebody is interested in only buying diamond jewelry, then that works very well for them. There is another KP, which is a 6-month KP, which is price protection KP, where the gold price is protected. So, we have come out with many variants to suit the customer's requirements and taste. And all of them are doing well, and I'm sure that, this is how it will keep on progressing. Hello? Hello?
Thank you. The line for the current participant got disconnected. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Disha Shah from an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my opportunity. Sir, can you throw some lights on the cost reduction pattern? So the manpower cost and overhead costs have been seen reducing. So are they permanent reduction or are they expected to increase in future?
Right. So the manpower cost, yes, there has been a substantial reduction in the manpower cost. I would say that to a maximum extent, these are the levels that we shall be in as far as manpower costs are concerned. They are very, very unlikely to go up. There has been a complete rationalization of the headcount, a huge lot of automation that we have done through our IT team, and the workarounds, the turnarounds have improved quite a bit. Manual kind of work culture has been done away to a great extent. So I think these are steps that have been taken, and they are permanent in nature. They are not very temporary or fly by night kind of nature, and hence these are the levels that we shall be. So the reduction and rationalization is sort of one can say permanent in nature.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And similarly for the other costs as well, to a great extent.
Okay, thank you. My question has been answered.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aksh Vora from Praj Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. When can we see a debt-free balance sheet on our book? We have seen substantial debt reduction in this year. And is the inventory reduction will be likely continuing in FY22 as well, or we are done with the inventory rationalization?
Okay. So let me answer your question on debt. As you yourself said, there has been a very, very substantial reduction in the debt level. And it is because, it's stemming from the inventory reduction to a great extent. So the inventory reduction has resulted in freeing up cash into the system and thereby helping us to reduce our debt and borrow less. However, if we were to say that there will be zero debt, I think that is probably not going to be possible. And also, let me hasten to add that probably not what the company wants really. It is not really required to be completely debt-free, in the sense that one of the reasons is that our debt comprises of gold on loan. So it's not a normal kind of a debt. There are two parts to it. One is the pure working capital debt that we have, and the other is the gold on loan, which is a product in itself.
Sorry, I was referring to working capital debt only, sir.
Yeah, so working capital debt, well, again, there has been a very substantial reduction in working capital debt as well. Further reduction, we'll have to see. We'll have to understand how to go about. The debt equity ratio looks, quite well leveraged at this stage. And, we should not be trying to, upset the apple cart just to, show that we are having lesser and lesser debt. So there has to be a purpose behind it. We are now, in fact, well positioned if required, if at all required at some stage, if we want to go for a very major expansion, then we will be able to, realize monies from the bank if it comes to that. So that way, I think we have taken care and we have positioned ourselves in such a manner that we shall be able to grow later on as and when we want to.
Thanks. Sir, again, on growth part or store expansion, how are we planned in coming years, say next 2 to 3 years? Is there a particular strategy that we'll be opening X number of stores in a particular year, and if required, we'll be closing down? But what's the growth strategy laid out from, say, 2021 to, say, next 2 to 3 years?
Okay, so right now, I think, as you know, the situation is again worsening, and across the country, there's a lot of mayhem and upheavals that are going on. So, while we were planning to look at some kind of growth by the end of this financial year, we were planning. I'm not saying that we have already finalized, But now we need to relook at that strategy. We need to reposition ourselves. Probably this is a time where one should consolidate and, maybe, take a call about growth, perhaps down the line, maybe in the third quarter or fourth quarter, and implement that growth strategy in the next financial year. So this year, let's see how things unfold. As you know, you will appreciate these things are beyond us, completely beyond everybody's control. Let's hope for the best. Probably this is a good time to consolidate, to stabilize, to continue with the stable kind of performance, the good performance that we have demonstrated in the last financial year, in spite of huge challenges. Continue with the good work, position ourselves in a very strong manner so that when the opportune moment comes, we are able to grow. So if you ask me in terms of exactly how many stores we are going to open, I shall not be able to answer you right now. But at the same time, as I said, that we were looking at a growth strategy for the end of the year, and we may wish to, sort of just push it to the next financial year when things will start falling in place. And probably by the end of the third quarter or fourth quarter, we should be able to give you some kind of a very definite kind of a plan as to, how many stores we want to open, where, which are the locations, where we want to go, and that sort of a thing.
Right. Thanks, sir. That was really helpful. Lastly, sir, what is the percentage revenue from digital online channel?
Digital online channel percentage of revenue will be, very low. It's a minuscule number at present for us. Let's see, we are trying to sort of, make it a very robust kind of a feature. Going forward, we should be able to see more traction. So right now, that number will be a very low number.
Okay, but is the growth coming off good in terms of base because of the low base?
Yeah, yes, it is coming. But again, even with the growth, the digital traction in terms of revenue generation is, a very low number in the total scheme of things at present. But yes, as I said earlier also in the call, I said that we can clearly see a lot of excitement, and customer response so far has been quite good.
And sir, in terms of inventory rationalization, which we saw in FY21, can we assume that it's majorly done, or we'll be continuing doing the inventory rationalization even in FY22?
So yes, a substantial portion of that is done. However, it's an ongoing activity. We keep on looking at things. I think we should be able to rationalize a little more, not maybe as much as we have already done. That looks difficult because then that will have a negative repercussion on the business. It will be, I would say, an incorrect thing to do because we are already below the 1,000 crores level, which is a very huge reduction we have done. We will definitely try and reduce maybe, a little more comparatively, a little more, but not substantially because it's just not required. And if we do too much of a reduction, it will start reflecting adversely on our, on our top line numbers, and also the customers' expectations will be belied.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shirish Pardeshi from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for the opportunity. I have few questions. We have recently seen in the budget there is a reduction in gold.
Shirish, your audio is breaking. We are not able to hear you clearly.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first question is, in the recent budget, we have seen there is a cut in gold import duties to 7.5%. Does it impact us anyway with the current inventory which we have, or whether?
Shirish, the audio is breaking again.
No, I'm saying, does it have any impact on our inventory?
Not really. Very, very, very low impact. In fact, virtually no impact. See, our procurement happens through the bank all the time. So we do it through the gold loan model. And since we are a domestic company in any case, but a cut in it prices get impact, but our procurement and all that doesn't get impacted in that sense.
So because you have a lease model, it doesn't affect directly to us.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. My second question is on your virtual program, and it is heartening to know that that's another way this pandemic has taught us how to incrementally optimize our sales force. Though the number may be very small, but would you be able to help me understand what are the ticket size in this virtual? Is it more than the average what the store is selling, or is it less?
Ticket size through the virtual interaction?
Yes.
Yeah, it will be the same because this is just a store. Only thing is that this is a virtual store instead of a brick and mortar store. So the product and the pricing and everything else is the same as what we have displayed in a brick and mortar store. So ticket size will be exactly the same. In fact, it will be contributing to the overall ticket size.
Okay.
It will be part of the overall ticket, not contributing, but it will be part of the overall ticket size.
Okay. The other question I have, and when I compare with Tanishq, which has declared the result and they have reported 57% growth, how do you explain our growth, which is lower, and the industry leader has reported a higher growth? I mean, I'm not saying how they have done. I'm saying where we lack or what we have not done.
No, see, firstly, I just explained to someone else on the call. I'm not sure if you heard that. But let me anyways quickly say, see, I really do not know how Tanishq would have done their sales. I can talk about only my company. I think we have done reasonably well. We have also reported growth. May not be like Tanishq. I'm not very sure what they have sold. They may have sold bullion or may not have sold. I don't know. Normally, we do not sell. It's not that we never sell bullion, but it's a very, very rare thing. So again, since I do not know how exactly they are sold, I cannot comment on that. As far as we are concerned, I think we have done better than last year. The circumstances are not really out of the woods, as we can all see. Quarter 4 has been, I would say, a very decent quarter for us. It's not that anything is lacking. I think we have done quite well, and it reflects in our performance very clearly. There's no iota of a doubt in that. I'm not able to say how Tanishq or someone else has done it. In a general sense, I know that Tanishq adds stores every quarter, every month, every year. They keep on adding stores. Even during pandemic, they have added stores. So when everything was locked down, they have added stores, and you can check with them whether they have done it or not. You will find yes, they have added stores. So if I add stores and my top line increases, I mean, very good. That's one way of doing it.
Okay. Since you have touched upon the number of stores, what is the overall store reduction in the full year FY21?
We closed 6 stores in the last financial year.
Okay. And my last question is on the contribution. What is the wedding jewelry contribution in quarter 4 and full year FY21?
Okay. So wedding jewelry in quarter 4 will be approximately around 60 to 65%. For the full year, it will be probably a little lesser. This year it will be around 50-55% mark, because I said a lot of weddings got cancelled, a lot of weddings got postponed. I am not sure whether they have happened or they may have got further postponed. But in terms of wedding contribution for quarter 4, it has been higher. But for the full year, it has been lower than what our average number is.
Okay. Just last follow-up on the same subject. Again, Akshaya Tritiya is there right in front of us, and it's again wedding season which is there. So is it that a month which is gone behind, which is April, do you see that this contribution is same in the month of April, or it's going to be lower? Or what is your assessment in this quarter?
Okay, so April again, unfortunately has got affected to a certain extent because of, the pandemic and the lockdowns which have started happening in several cities. As you know, Mumbai, for example, is under lockdown for last quite a number of days. Similarly, various other cities are also under lockdown, and more cities going into lockdown now. So April obviously was a slightly, I would say, deflated kind of a month. But we again look forward. Akshaya Tritiya, I think, will be good for us if it happens that way, as usual. And then the wedding jewelry purchase will pick up. Difficult to say about exact percentages. As I said, that every day is a new day. Every day we have to grapple with new situations. So we'll take it as it comes.
Thank you. That was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Ms. Forum Aglani.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us today for this call. In case of any further questions, you can get in touch with us on our coordinates provided in the investor presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Tribhuvan Das EMG Zaveri Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.